Good evening and welcome to the 2026 Northern New South Wales NPL season, coming to you from the Harold Knight Sporting Complex in Gateshead. A brand new $4 million home, a brand new NPL campaign, and a historic night for the Kahibah Football Club. It's taken 100 years for the Rams to reach the top flight, and tonight they open their NPL era against last season's defeated grand finalists, the Lambton Jaffas. I'm Chris McPherson, alongside me Harry Scobie. And Harry, you couldn't script a better way to christen a new complex or begin a season, the new boys against one of the competition heavyweights.
Most certainly, Chris. Thank you for having me. Thank you for everyone for tuning in. A brand new season here, and I'll tell you what, tonight has all the makings for a huge clash. Kahibah out here in full force. The fans have turned up, and I think this is going to be a cracker, Chris.
Certainly will. Kahibah arrive here on the back of one of the most dominant Northern League One's campaigns we've seen in recent memory. 15 games unbeaten to finish the year, 11 straight wins, just 10 goals conceded across an entire season. They didn't just get promoted, they surged into the NPL. And at the heart of it all was one man, Robbie Turnbull, who will not be in action tonight. A late scratching, which is a real shame because we would have seen 282 games of first-grade experience coming back out here. And unfortunately, he won't get that moment of leading Kahibah in their first ever NPL match. Blair Newham has kept the call that won promotion and added some youth and energy. Billy Ike and Shewa Dill arrived from the Jets Academy. 17-year-old Matt Homer comes in and starts from Broadmeadow. The Dutch influence of Gilles Boss, who will miss tonight through injury alongside Justin Hutzager. They've said openly they want to attack. They won't sit back and admire the occasion. But the question at this level is always the same. Can you defend well enough to stay here? And that will be their first test. The Lambton Jaffas grand finalists last year, they certainly didn't get going early in 2025, but found their rhythm at the right time, and it nearly took them all the way. Mitch Rook returns to Jaffas colours after 2 seasons in Melbourne, a former Northern New South Wales Player of the Year, technically excellent and calm in possession. Add in American striker Drew Patterson, who joins an attack that scored 37 goals last season. They've lost some experience though. Nikolai Topol-Stanley's retired, Matt Cahill's headed to Lyle Carr with Azuri, but the core of that grand final side remains. For Lambton, it's simple. They need a strong start. They've got a tough run coming, and they won't want to drop points to the newly promoted side in round 1. For Kahibah, this is about proving they belong as they make their way out through that long guard of honour. And Harry, when you look at this matchup, is what you're looking for the new promotion energy versus that settled experience?
100%, Chris. No, you summed it up perfectly. I think Kahibah will want to bring an intent from the start. We've seen some of their fans in the earlier reserve fixture cheer and get them across the line, but I think tonight, especially seeing this as they enter the field now, will really give them that positive vibes. And like I said, it's a decent crowd building.
It's a really strong crowd in here for a Thursday night with a bit of grey clouds around, some possible rain. It's going to be interesting to see how Kahibah execute that high press, whether they can pull back in defence as well, because we know it's, we look at sides in the A League, the Newcastle Jets are a wonderful example. They play that high press and they push forward quickly into attack, but if early in the season they didn't respond well getting back in defence, and that's Kahibah's risk here today. Lambton, composure in midfield, especially with Mitch Rook back in the squad.
They have so many options in midfield, do the Jaffas, and talking to David Tancheski midweek, I know he mentioned that there's going to be selection headaches, and I'll tell you what, that midfield you mentioned, I think Mitch Rook will really spark and add calmness to that Jaffas midfield this year.
It's going to be a little bit different looking Jaffas, especially with that Nikolai Topol-Stanley. Probably cues as well to have a look at the 2 team lists. So we'll start with the Jaffas with their starting 11. So in goals, of course, the ever-present, the veteran, Ben Kennedy. They've got number 3 will be Pat Bond. 6 is Joey Langlois. 7 is Mitch Rook, the man that returns. 8, Jimmy Oates. 9, the American star who came over mid-season and joined Bell Swans in Drew Patterson. 10, Archie Finn. 11, Lockie Griffiths. 15, Sam Denellen. 17, the experience of Riley McNaughton at the back. And, of course, 23, Tom Waller. Their bench is Ethan Lewis, the backup keeper. Lawson Weeks, Riley Taylor, Tom Parks, Bailey Newton and Jordan Gu. And, of course, they're coached by David Tanchevsky. Off for Kahibah, the first time in the NPL, their top-tier debut after 100 years of existence. In goals will be Isaac Quinn. Number 2, Jackson Lane. Number 4, crossing the divide, Oscar Krakenthorpe. Number 11 is Justin Hutzager, their Dutch import, who brought with him a new one this year after returning after year 1. Riley Van Haren in 12, Ewan Kelly in 18, Billy Ike in 21, Shewa Dull in 22, Daniel Byrne in 23, Baden Merton in 25, and Matt Homer from Broadmeadow at just 17 in 39. Their substitutes, Lachlan O'Leary, the backup keeper, Lewis Hextall, Jaden Keanu, Riley Ferguson, Tyson Masters, and Riley Parker. We are almost set for kickoff here. Kahibah in their deep green, you might call it. Lambton in a very new look away kit. Pristine white.
It's very new, isn't it? I know that Stone will be the major sponsor across the Jaffas kits this season, but they're certainly going to have their work cut out tonight, the Jaffas. huge threat Kahibah will pose. And like you mentioned, in the build-up, Chris, I think Kahibah will start this one fairly fast and try and set the tempo early. So no better way to get round one started than here at Fred Wright.
That's exactly right. We are set for kick-off here. Round one, Thursday Night Lights, the newly promoted Kahibah up against the runners-up from 2025, Lambton Jaffas. They're looking to go one better under David Tenchevsky with a fairly settled squad. And we're underway here at Fred Wright Oval, his brand new complex, which is absolutely getting a working over with lots of crowd in and lots of chance. You can hear it. Let's go Kahibah. They're behind them early, Harry.
They are. And I think you could tell from that reserve grade game that tonight something special was really going to build, and this is an incredible turnout.
Jaffas trying to turn on the attack early. I touched on it before when we saw the teams come in. This is a very trim and taut-looking Archie Finn. He has absolutely got himself into probably the best shape I can remember seeing him play in recent years.
Look, I think coming that, he wanted to prove a point this season as well, being the number 9 striker up top. And like you mentioned, Chris, he's done his fair share of work in the off-season, and interested to see how he goes tonight, because Matty Cahill sort of played as that striker last year as well. He's departed the club, but there's big shoes to fill for Archie.
It certainly is. And we'll see Sandrinelli get the head in. Kahibah headed towards the 18-yard box. They're working wide here, the Rams. Ball played back now. And a jersey change for Kahibah. We might have to get on top of that as we see straight away Jaffas going on the attack. That was fairly agricultural from the man we were talking about, Archie Finn. Riley McNaughton, ever present at the back. Now Kahibah, they range forward with Daniel Byrne, one of their top scorers last year in the Northern League One. Physical challenge there from Kahibah in the first foul of the game. That's Stuart Dull, one of the Jets Academy products.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing him play this season as well. I think he's going to be that more attacking midfield and have a licence to go forward, but despite being so young, he could be a key to a lot of what Kahibah do this year.
Looks lively, doesn't he? So you can see they've certainly blooded some youth in some of these new players. Dull, Krakenthorpe, a player who we saw moments of at Lambton last year. As I said, just trying to work out. I think it might be Ewan Kelly that's in 19 rather than 18 out there at left back. Had a couple of changes from the numbers, and is that Matt Homer in 39 instead of 34? Might have had the new kit not quite fitting as tight as you wanted to, or as loose as you wanted to, depending on the side.
What interests me tonight as well, Chris, is the two centre-backs, or one from each side. Oscar Krakenthorpe for Kahibah, the skipper, and Jimmy Oates for the Jaffas, who we're very used to seeing playing in the midfield. So interested to see how that partnership of Oates and McNaughton goes, because Topper Stanley is a huge loss.
Topper is a big loss in terms of experience, a very different looking centre-back pairing. McNaughton will relish, I think, the role of becoming the more of the enforcer. Obviously, Oates mobile, but again, you've got to remember Riley McNaughton at one point wasn't a centre-back either, and now he's one of the best in the league. So we see a bit of this happen in this league.
It does happen. You see a lot of rotation, and like I mentioned on the other end of things, Oscar Krakenthorpe looking to lead this Kahibah side into a new era, like you mentioned. Had glimpses at the Jaffas, but I'm sure he's keen for more first-team football here. What
about that? First game, new club, up against your old club. There's no tougher cauldron to go into, as they played all the way back to Quinn back there. The pink kit of the Kahibah goalkeeper certainly stands out at night, that is for sure, as he goes long. He's absolutely got all of that Isaac Quinn, and it races away over the other byline. And Ben Kennedy, in typical BK fashion, will take his time and just composed, calm, very steady.
He'll take his time in any moment of the game, will BK.
Yeah, he would have been disappointed to see Turnbull ruled out, because it means that he is now the oldest man on the field. He was looking forward to that, I think, BK talking to him pre-game. Still got it all there, still kicking along. I think he turned 39 last week, Harry, on Valentine's Day, if I'm not mistaken, BK. You'd have to ask his wife Sam whether he's the romantic or whether he makes Valentine's Day about himself. What do you reckon? You know enough about BK. Do you think he makes it? Surely his birthday takes priority.
You'd think so, knowing BK. I'm sure he was keen for a feed as well. I know he loves his food.
Good on the tooth, you reckon? There we go. I might have to get some content later in the year, finding out some recommendations to get him on the chicken burger reviews. Kahibah go long here. Ball played back down. That's a fairly solid challenge from Jimmy Oates. Kahibah asked the referee to go to his pocket. I think the referee, after all of about 4.5 minutes, is probably going to resist pulling out the first card of the season unless it's pretty clear cut.
What was also good to see in that challenge was the Kahibah fans riding every emotion early in this one. See them stand up as one.
Nice little 1-2 there, deflected by Denellen over the sideline. Interesting to note with no Turnbull that Oscar Krakenthorpe's wearing the captain's armband. Obviously impressed in his first pre-season here at Kahibah.
I was going to say, obviously they have that trust in him.
Opportunity here, strike. Oh, he's hit his teammate. Friendly fire, is it? It is indeed. Nice strike from Homer, looking to get on the score sheet, and Riley Van Haren just got in the way with a bit of friendly fire. I'll have a reset and have a conversation about that now.
I was going to say, that original shot looked goal-bound, to be honest. It was going at some speed, and Riley Van Haren gets in the way.
Well, we're talking Newcastle Jets comparisons before. I was nearly going to say it was Lockie Bayless. That's the way he struck that. Other boot, but still, nonetheless. Matt Homer's looked dangerous on a couple of early injections here, the young man who's come across from Broadmeadow. And back to Kennedy. And we talked about this. You picked this when we looked at the team sheets, and you sort of talked about Shiwadali, who was named sort of to play in an attacking midfield role, and you said he will likely press higher, and he's almost playing as a second striker at the moment. As Riley McNaughton again just sees that way a little, not completely. An opportunity here for Kahibah. They take a long-range strike. It soars over the crossbar. Daniel Byrne having a crack there from distance. They're not shy about firing from distance, that is for sure, but that's probably a big part of why the back-to-back Northern League One Young Player of the Year managed to get 10 goals last year.
You know what, I think Kahibah can have some freedom tonight because Lambton's fullbacks like to position themselves really high up the field in Denellen and Waller. And Kahibah pinch the ball back there, and I don't know if we found that ball over to the far side, Chris. It was spine.
Opportunity. Homer calling for it straight away from the throw. Clears it forward. There's Denellen. Gets on the ball. No one shirking contest here. Just cleared away in the end. Not quite the ball the Dutchman in Hutsaga would have wanted. Denellen with the throw now. He advances down pitch, tries to go long, and he's managed to almost find the American in Patterson. There's plenty of jersey pulling going both ways. And the referee has enough in the end and gives the advantage to Kahibah. It'll certainly be interesting to see the set piece for the Jaffas this year when you have a look at the heights of some of these players, most notably, obviously, Patterson, but also Lockie Griffiths. They've got a few options there, and even Pat Bond. Pat Bond looked like he's grown since last season. I don't know if it's the white, if he's got lifts in his shoes. Maybe he's got lifts in his shoes. We better not start that rumour. Pat won't like that.
He does look a bit taller, doesn't he?
It does. That one's gone just into the trees. That's good. There's quite a lot of bush surrounding the ground here at Harold Knight. It is going to be an occupational hazard if you're a ball boy, especially at night, I think, having to retrieve the balls if they get hoofed too far into the trees, Harry.
Yeah, they'll have their work cut out tonight.
Ball driven long, looking for Finn. I'll tell you what, not only is he trimmed up, he's got a yard of pace about him now, Archie Finn. There's going to be a dangerous combo with he and Patterson operating, and then Griffiths lurking wide as well. Looks like these two teams are trying to play a little game of forcey backs here as Denellen drops it back to Ben Kennedy.
Oh, that's cheeky.
Was cheeky. Kennedy just toying with them here, using all of his experience. Headed on nicely there by Rook. Haven't seen a lot of him yet. Both sides have been using the flanks a little more than the centre of the midfield. Now Homer, good touches. Taken away with a sliding tackle. There's Rook. Now Griffiths streaming away. He takes a optimistic strike from about 40 yards out.
You know what? It was probably on because he had space in front of him. He did our option out left in Drew Patterson, but early on, Chris, I'm noticing this field isn't the widest of pitches, and a lot of teams these two teams tonight are trying to play through the middle, so interesting to see how that develops, whether the game sort of settles, but this opening 10 minutes or so has been very intense.
It's certainly been willing. It's been end to end. Neither side leaving anything in the locker. It's about can you maintain that for 90 minutes, so that's going to be the big question, and it's going to be the big test. Opportunity here, but Kennedy's out to it quickly. As I was saying, it's one of the things we saw with Bell Swans. It was a bit of a roller coaster last year, getting settled into that NPL life. It'll be interesting to see what we see from them this year. But that's kind of the thing, consistently being at this level, because you can't just do it for patches of games, and you can't just do it for an odd game here and there. You need to do it for 90 minutes, week in, week out, which is the difference between the best and the rest, as we saw from Broadmeadow last year. Now, an optimistic pass just skied through the midfield. It's turned out okay in the end as they play it forward now. Denellen tries the lofted pass over the top, doesn't get it over Lewis, who drives it back the other way. McNaughton gets ahead to it, brings it down. Bond's there in the midfield. Working it wide, there's Waller. Come to the left where Patterson is. Good control, the big man. Pops it back again. They go all the way back to Oates now. Oates on to McNaughton.
Yeah, this is something that hasn't happened in the first few minutes of both teams getting a foothold of this game.
Misplaced pass there, I was going to say, and Kennedy's just got to clear it long. Not the worst result, but you can. Yeah, it's a bit more of an arm wrestle now rather than teams just flowing the ball around, isn't it? So they've tried their hit and hopes, they've tried their aggressive stuff, and now they're settling into much more of a rhythm. This is what we saw from Lambton as they built from their slow start into their better finish of the year. That's a nice ball for Rook. He gets to the outside. The referee says nothing but ball from Hutsager. Rook seems a little frustrated with that. To be fair, there wasn't much contact, even if there was contact, and I think Mitch Rook went with all of it. And we go back to Quinn.
I think he was trying to claim that one, but it was good build-up play. Started from Riley McNaughton there, and Rook seems to be a midfielder that's going to look to bomb on forward, similar to Shewell Doe, and play that higher role.
Nice cross ball here, looking for Homer. Well read by Denellen there. They play it forward now. Griffiths with the 1-2, not quite the weight he needed on that pass as he looked for Langlois. Now they go back in through defence, and that's Merton playing a nice ball through the middle. That's unnecessary contact, and that's the thing. All of the other improvements that Archie Finn's made, that's the thing he needs to lose in his game, really, if he wants to become one of the top strikers in this league.
He's improved on a lot of things from last year, but that tackle
discipline,
and eagerness side of things has not changed. And I don't think it will change from here either.
No, I think he's just, again, I like the aggression from Finn. I think he's just got to find the right ways to channel it. That was unnecessary. The ball was gone, and just a little nudge to let the bloke know he's there. And he's bigger and stronger than most of the players he comes up against, because he is still physical, even at the more trim build that he is now. As we see there, he comes out on top of most challenges. That's a nice ball from Griffiths. Right idea, and they're going to come back for a foul here. And that foul's going to be called against Billy Ike. I'm just so impressed. The stands are almost full. There's plenty of people around the ground on the hill. We had people trying to sneak views in on the footbridge. There's still a couple there, but it's a really good turnout on a Thursday night to open the NPL season. Wonderful job from Kahibah.
Really, really good to see. This one's been a match that we've penciled in the calendar for a while now.
I really love this from Northern New South Wales in recent years, making the promoted side, or giving the promoted side the opportunity to open the season on a Thursday night under lights, stringing out that opening round, that extra day. Or if you look at it the way I look at it, we wait one less day for the season to kick off, not playing on Friday night, playing on Thursday instead, as Kahibah get the throw here. Lewis will take the throw. He goes long. It's chipped in, looking for Dull. He managed, despite giving away quite a bit of height against his man there, to get up and win out the header. Now Waller in that left full-back role. Plays it. Thought about playing it forward for Rook. Decides better of it and takes a pivot and powers it back to Ben Kennedy. Kennedy likes to toy with the attackers, doesn't he? So just come and try and get me. Come and try. McNaughton down the sideline. Puts the ball through. Heavy touch.
I think what Kennedy likes to do is he likes to draw the striker in and make him play, and then if that is the case, he can use one of his centre-backs.
Looking for the pace here at Denellen. Lewis was wise to it, held his ground. Milky Bar kid, there he is. I thought he was going to flash around and get an opener early. Now they're playing it in dangerously into the box again. Well dealt with by Kahibah, but they're not panicking down there, which is positive to see. Lambton had numbers forward, and they just stayed composed. Homer. He's looked dangerous today. He's got an open man on the right. Just puts it behind him. Wasn't far away from what he needed, looking for Daniel Byrne. Now look at Dull powering through the middle. He's looking for the ball to come. They go heavier. They're looking to the back post, and he's just undercooked it on angle, overcooked it on weight.
It's good transition there from Kahibah. Byrne out wide seemed to be a bit of a target up against Tommy Waller, and that final execution was lacking, but I think they'll look to utilise him down that right-hand side as the rain slowly starts here, Chris.
Yeah, a little bit of a spit. I don't think we're going to get too much, hopefully. Famous last words. Every time I say that, it downpours. Grant Sproul's not happy with me saying it's not going to rain. He's getting upset. I think he's worried it's going to wash his hair away. That's all right, here we go. As you said, though, like watching how Homer and Byrne are playing, they're really looking to hold their width in attack, which is just drawing out and forcing Lambton. And Lambton are trying to keep a little bit more compact in defence, so they're having to pick one side and they're shifting to the ball, leaving a bit of an opening if Kahibah can execute that switch. But maybe David Tanchevsky is saying set the challenge. There's an opportunity here. Strike taken, well blocked. That's nice work there, getting body on the line from Ike. He goes long, just a clearing ball. Oates just says to BK to slow it down. Denellen switches it back across to Oates. Still pushing out. That's nervy play. David Tanchevsky, if he's got the heart rate monitor on it, would have just spiked a little bit then.
Yeah, well, when Kahibah do seem to press, I think that bond is very crucial to the way Lambton sort of play out, and he needs to get himself on the ball a little bit more, as well as Joe Langlois trying to find the pocket.
You just see that Oates not as comfortable there as he is in his usual positions. It's going to take some time to adjust. It's not something you just pick up overnight.
Yeah, and being a right-footed centre-back as well takes time to adjust.
Misdirected pass from Denellen. Nice 1-2 there, sitting out in front of Homer. He pulls it back. Now for Hutsaga. He plays it across. Gets the ball just beyond the reach of Finn. Now the centre-backs work it around. Merton's there. He's got time on the ball. Is it the Krakenthorpe? Young man stepping in as captain of Kahibah in their first game in the NPL tonight. What an honour that is for the former Jaffa. And here's McNaughton. Pushing forward, tries to get it out in front of Waller, but it doesn't quite work. And a little bit of a grunt from the Kahibah crowd there at that challenge from Joey Langlois. Neither side's shirking the physicality tonight as Merton returns it all the way back to Quinn. And they go long. I think they're going to look at opportunities, Kahibah, to try and catch that slightly higher Lambton line and just see if they can use the pace of Dool. He's got, maybe not even his pace, it's his acceleration where he can just leave a man standing.
Well, I was going to say, Isaac Quinn on a couple of occasions now has gone for the long ball rather than playing out from the back. And what the Jaffas do is, Ben Kennedy has trust in Mick Norton and Jimmy Oates to calm down the play as they are right now. I think Kahibah just need to get their foot on the ball a little bit more.
And come back for the offside. Quinn will take it near the top of the 18-yard box here. As you can see, if he goes long again. Plenty of chat from Kahibah, the enthusiasm high. Almost 20 minutes gone here at Fred Wright. Again, Quinn goes long. He just wants to be a touch shorter than that. If he gets any longer, it's going to clear the other line on the full. He's got a boot on him.
Does have a boot on him. Yeah. I think he made the right option there to go for the long boot forward and then looking for a Kahibah player, but playing
oh dear. Having a little nap there. That's not ideal. Dool tries to play it in. Strike taken over the crossbar. What happened there? Jimmy Oates forgot he was a centre-back for a moment there. Wasn't ready for that one. He's back in the midfield just waiting for the ball either to be played out a couple of passes to him or go over his head.
Felt like Kahibah could have capitalised a lot more on that opportunity. I think Jimmy Oates was barking orders at the Lambton bench and she were dull. Probably could have been a little bit more alert, but Jimmy Oates is...
I think you're being a harsh judge, Harry. I think you're being a harsh judge. No one was expecting Jimmy Oates to have a nap there, including Ben Kennedy and Shewa Dull. But, you know, could he have picked a different pass? Maybe. We'll see. This is a nice ball through, looking for Denellen. It falls off the defender. Merton tried to clear it, but just played it right into his line. Opportunity here. Will they take a strike? Bond from distance over the crossbar. First real shot in anger. It's taken nearly 20 minutes. Pat Bond not far away. We saw him finish some spectacular goals last year, including one that was right into that top corner at Arthur Eden Oval. He's got certainly goals from that range in him.
He does, and another example of the connection down this right-hand side from Denellen and Griffiths, or sorry, McNaughton to Denellen in the first instance.
Opportunity here. McNaughton composed, just plays it back to Kennedy. Molly Van Haren was sneaking about there, looking just to pop in behind the veteran centre-back. Certainly not short of voice, Kahibah. Plenty of instructions being barked from the back. Miscued, clearance there, trying to go forward. Now Griffiths is going to have to try and win out. Kelly gets the ball, and he also gets a shoulder in the back, and he'll draw the foul. Now Quinn to Merton. Kelly's wide if he wants him. Or he can go to Homer. He pulls it up, and that's where he goes. Homer more direct. Cut away, gets a little clip. Play on, says the referee. No, he'll come back. Thought he might have played that advantage a little longer. But happy just to nip it in the bud and pull it back.
Well, Griffiths had to do a lot of backtracking there because Homer found himself in a lot of space, and Griffiths didn't commit that foul. I thought that Homer could have taken that more in his stride. This is a good chance for Kahibah.
Certainly is. You and Kelly in jersey 19 to take the free kick. It's depending on the abilities of Kelly here. It could be a dangerous one to float in, or a dangerous one just to try and curl it into the top corner. It looks like he's going to pull it up to float it around towards the back post. That was aerial from Jimmy Oates. I think it looked more acrobatic than it maybe needed to, but it was reasonably effective as they try and cross it in again. Well stopped there. That Waller out wide. A little hard to pick up. Little bits of shadows in a couple of the corners, just with all those trees around, Harry.
Yeah, a few shadows in the corners of the ground, but Kahibah starting to really get a foothold in this one. Starting to work their way back into it.
Certainly been a solid start from the newly promoted Rams, as now Lambton look to go on the offensive. Patterson gets a little nudge from behind. Got to be careful there. Patterson plays it forward for himself. Will he take a strike? He pulls it back. On the spin, the angle wasn't there. He just overcooked it a little, but it took a deflection from Finn. I felt he might have had a chance there just to steady himself a step. It looked like Patterson was pulling it up for him. Just a bit of over-enthusiasm. Maybe that extra yard of pace he's got. He's quicker than he realises.
Great build-up play initially from Langwara and Drew Patterson. That's the first time we've seen Patterson one-on-one with his man and used his speed to full strength there. And Archie Finn on another day takes that one with a bit more precision.
Spent a lot of time last year back to goal, dropping the ball down for others to score. You think with this new sort of structure, they might be looking for a few more goals from Finn this year as Rook drops it in at the near post. The strike taken through and absolutely nailed for the opening goal of the season. Pat Bond, I said he can hit him from outside the box, right at the edge. He nails that from 18 yards, and there was just no chance of responding as that slipped through a gap in the defence for Quinn.
I think I've said it multiple times. Pat Bond does not like scoring tap-ins or any type of easy goal. There's another example there. Kahibah struggled to clear. Pat Bond on the edge of the box. It fell into his path, and it's a well-taken finish.
Just well taken on that volley, wasn't it? He just didn't even take too much time to set it. He just said, I know where that goal is. I'm going to have a crack, and good luck to you, Isaac Quinn. And to be fair to Isaac Quinn, he just didn't have a chance to react with that many bodies in front of him. Bond did well to thread the needle, as he does. And Lambton get the first goal of the 2026 NPL season. They lead 1-0 after almost 24 minutes here at Fred Wright Oval.
First goal of tonight's game.
Kahibah now, how do they respond, Harry?
Look, I think just sticking to their principles. They've been okay up until now. It's been an even contest.
It's an interesting one when you get into this position as the new side. Odds already stacked against you. If you lean into that narrative, you can quickly get out of hand. If you go back to exactly what you just talked about and say, look, we've been right in this. We've had some chances. We've had some opportunities. we've been playing the ball forward, then you're right back in it. But ship another goal quickly, and it starts to pull that doubt into your mind as Patterson, some nice touch, takes a shot from range. Not far away considering the distance and the angle. Drew Patterson wants to get his name on the score sheet early in new colours.
When he originally took that on, I thought it was the wrong option and had a bit of dip about that shot, and he's starting to grow more into this game as it's gone on, and that was a chance.
Kahibah just pushing forward here, opportunity. Van Haren can't control it. McNaughton, he's going to shepherd the ball over the byline. Again, that seems to be the preferred route now. They were looking to go around and through and around and sort of into the back line before. Now they're just lobbing it straight over the top and hoping for sheer pace to outrun McNaughton. But again, that might have worked a year ago when you had McNaughton and Topor Stanley there. You know, no disrespect to Topor. You throw Jimmy Oates, and there's certainly a few more yards of pace there to retract and retrace those steps if needed.
Yeah, Kahibah really looking to utilise that long ball, aren't they? I haven't seen them had good stints of possession with the ball.
Little ball just played in from Rook. And that's Rook now sliding, sorry. It was Griffiths before. Down the line if he can find it. He gets the ball out in front of Donnell, and he turned his back though. And Merton does well. Just nice and composed there. Pops it over the line. And Donnell will take the quick throw. Finn's there. Try and get physical with him, Kahibah. He won't mind that. That's playing into his wheelhouse. It's fed into the box from Griffiths. Krakenthorpe clears it. Brought down. Langlois. Back to McNaughton. Now they work it through Oates. Pinpoint pass down for the American in Patterson. He returns the favour back to Oates. They work it down that left side. Just trying to play with the shape and spacing of Kahibah's defence with moving the ball around here, Lambton. In no real hurry after scoring the opener. Waller returns it back to Oates. Ball through for Finn. Pops it up. That's a nice ball for Patterson if he can get there. Merton did well. Patterson was advancing. I think it would have been a second touch strike for him on the turn. Norton drops it down. Langlois, that's a very clumsy challenge at best and reckless at worst. Langlois getting up, pushing and shoving. Probably doesn't need that. The referee has it fully in hand.
I think Kahibah are starting to get a little bit frustrated with not retaining possession of the ball and a few challenges flying in there, but Joey Langlois seems to have a bit to say about that one. I certainly feel that if Kahibah can get more of a foothold of the game, and I know they are quite a young side, Chris, but just keep more of the ball and possession and be more patient in the build-up. We
saw it last year. This is the respective fixture, Bell Swans versus Adamstown, and all things taken into account of that. Bell Swans stayed in the fight. They stayed at 2-1. There's a couple of times where they could have let themselves get out of the contest. Then all of a sudden, their momentum, the home crowd, the enthusiasm when they were in it late in the game, and they scored 4 late goals, to win it 5-2 from nowhere. As you see, this doesn't need to happen. This is where, as tempers start to fray, the last thing you want to be doing is picking up a card in your first game in the NPL or the first game of the season if you're Riley McNaughton. And the experience of Ranger, as he's well known around the NPL, will be pushing a lot of buttons down there, I would have thought, in that conversation.
Yeah, most certainly. And he's not a player to get too angry too quickly, I don't feel, but
I don't think he'll be getting angry at all. I think he'll just be stirring the pot and trying to get a reaction out of the younger players, and that's where experience comes to its fore. And we see that with some of these players that have certainly been around the league for a number of years, the likes of McNaughton. We saw Reen Ferguson doing it with aplomb last year against this team in Lambton. And sometimes it's those players that do take the bait that find themselves on the wrong end of it at the end. But anyway, the goal scorer in Bond drives that forward. Just feels like, I was about to say, Kahibah hitting and hoping as Riley McNaughton did exactly the same thing. Ball falls for Griffiths. He prods it wide looking for Patterson. That just feels like a mismatch of physicality, pace and skill out on that side for young Jackson Lane. Patterson is having a bit of fun out there.
Well, Lane's done really well to recover there and spurred on by the Kahibah bench. But yeah, I think in general this season Patterson's going to be a threat for any opposition that he comes up against, and certainly got a bit of a height advantage looking at him now.
It's certainly going to give David Tanchevsky some thoughts, especially the depth of this squad. It'll give Lambton some new looks because he can play in a front two if they decide to go that way with Finn. If there's Finn's out for any reason, you know, he can ably step up and play that number 9 role. But with his pace and touch as well, as he gets absolutely laid flat on his back, he can also, you know, play very effectively for quite a tall man on that wing position that he's playing today. Certainly been a gain for Lambton. Bellswans would have been disappointed to lose him after the impact he had joining them mid-season last year. Although they've wasted no time with their new German striker. He looks a physical and imposing man looking at some of the clips I've seen leading into the season. I'm looking forward to seeing him in action over the next couple of weeks. And I think they'll be better for a year in the NPL, Bellswans, as Lambton go on the attack here at the back post now. No, I thought it was going to float to the back post, but it just pulled up and landed on the roof of the net. Yeah,
touching on your point about strikers, I think there's a lot of good strikers to watch in the competition this week. I was impressed with Lewis Lara from Magic last week, and I think tomorrow night's clash will be huge as well. Edgeworth and Broadmeadow. Jaden Stewartson returns to play against his former club, but there's a lot of great number 9s going around in the competition this year.
Certain man at Cook Square Park that'll be disappointed with all of his experience in the A-League that you didn't mention Braden Crowley in that breath, Harry. But that's the thing, isn't it? You run through 4 or 5 and you've still missed 2 or 3. There's so many. And that seems to be the case at any position. I feel like it's it feels like the NPL gets better every year as we see a strong collision there between Langlois and Kelly. Archie Finn got very aerial there, and there was a foul, but I don't think it was much more than that, and the referee's getting some strong feedback from the Kahibah crowd. I think Archie might have added a little bit of mayo on that once he went to ground, but it was a foul nonetheless.
You can still hear some of the Kahibah faithful not too happy with this decision.
I like when, you know, they're clearly one-eyed and not shying away from it. Add some atmosphere. It's what you want from your crowd if you are the home team. What are we going to see here from Mr. Bond? Is he going to try and hit the 007 and just bang it in the net from distance, or is he going to lay it up into the box?
Definitely loop it in the air, you think.
Floats it up. Looking for the target. Falls now on the second deflection to Patterson. He pushes it wide to Nellen. Pokes it into the box again. Krakenthorpe heads it away. Now Dool. Shewa Dool plays it out. I'm not quite sure what he was looking for there. He was the most forward arching player. And missed clearance there from Merton. Scrappy times here. And not really well converted on. Lockie Griffiths probably would like to have that over, Harry.
Yeah, there was a chance there for Griffiths to do something with intent and didn't get the right connection. But I think these last few minutes will be a big test for Kahibah to end this half strongly and build some momentum heading in the second half, because we know the second half the crowd will get behind them, that's for sure.
They certainly will if they're still in the contest, and that's the thing, they've got to be in the contest. See, got that ball bouncing over. I thought you were on for a touch there, Harry, bringing back your playing days from last year. But in the meantime, here goes Oates. Looks like Oates and McNaughton might have just switched up here with Dools come across to the left. So I think that's definitely a matchup that they've identified. They need to match that pace of Shewa Dool with that of Jimmy Oates. It's an interesting balance Kahibah has struck this year. And again, as we said, without the man who would have been their skipper tonight, Robbie Turnbull. An opportunity here, and as I was about to say, a second goal for Jaffas, but the metalwork as it is in the modern era saves them, as Shewa Dool gives away a pretty clear foul. It looked like there was a handball in the lead up. Pat Bond trying to assist the referee with some coaching tips. I'm not sure. I think maybe stick to scoring bangers from outside the box, Pat.
Again, another great chance for the Jaffas, and the good thing about their attack this season is they got options to go float on in behind. Denellen likes to get on forward, Patterson and then Griffiths on that occasion. Oscar Krakenthorpe's just got to be aware of the runners in behind, especially with the pace that Lambton have.
You would think he would know the traits of a few of these gentlemen on the other side reasonably well. And look, he's done quite well. Krakenthorpe on a number of occasions. That one just wasn't his best. This one floated in again. A little bit of confusion. Almost falls for Patterson, but Joey Langlois instead almost clears the Pacific Highway and puts it into Charlestown Toyota. We've got a player down. It's Merton. The boots come off. The boots come untied. Just talking about Oscar Krakenthorpe. 20 years of age. He'll be 21 next week, Harry. And he's captaining an NPL side. That is very impressive.
Still with so much more to offer in his career as well. And seeing him shift to centre-back is an interesting move because in his younger days I know he liked to get on forward from a midfield position, but he's handled himself really well tonight, but in saying that he's up against what is a very, very physical striker that will know his game inside out.
He's going to give no quarter, that's for sure. This is nice from Kelly. Takes a strike. Riley McNaughton uses his back to stop that one. Now Griffiths with a nice touch. Ike, that's probably not the cleanest of challenges, but fortunately pulled up at the last moment. Finn tries to play it in. Merton does well on the turn, reads the ball and sees it away for the time being. And fighting tooth and nail here, Kahibah, to keep them away from their goal. A little mistouch from McNaughton. Now Kennedy plays it out for Oates. As we head inside the last 10 minutes of the first half of season 2026, the Northern New South Wales NPL. Just remember, every game, all season, men's, women's, NPL, first and reserve grade, live and free here on the Northern New South Wales Football YouTube channel. As Denellen does well to control that just inside the touchline. Played forward by Griffiths. Gets the ball centred into the box. He did well on the first contest. The ball centering wasn't on target. McNaughton wasn't the most textbook of passes. Right, McNaughton's going to have to be careful. He's getting a little bit fired up here at the referee. I'm not sure we can class what he just said as constructive criticism, but anyway. He's still going. Jimmy Oates is trying to calm him down. Now I think he's turned on the Kahibah player who took the sliding challenge at him. Finn tries to control it with the boot. Sandwiched by two Kahibah players. Still gets the header forward. Does the flag stay down here for Rooken? Finn gets back on it, pushes it across, not far away from the left post.
I thought the chance was over there and Archie Finn work was cut out, and somehow he's managed to get his body in front again and take a strike.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? As I said, like, he's more mobile now, but he hasn't lost that physical strength and power in the one-on-one, or in that case, one-on-two contests. As this beats everyone. Homer sniffing around the back. What can he conjure on the left here for Kahibah? Plays it in early. Ben Haren taps it past Kennedy, and the post doesn't know. Kennedy's got down to it. My goodness. Is Ben Kennedy Inspector Gadget? I don't know how he's reeled that in.
I have no clue how Ben Kennedy's got a hand to that there.
Well, that just proves age is just a number, Harry. That is reactions like you will not see anywhere else.
Tell you what, it's a lot better from Kahibah though. Homer gets in behind Ben Haren, makes a really good run, and still could not know how Ben Kennedy's got a hand to that.
Neither does Riley Van Haren or anyone else here at Fred Wright. Ryan Norton for a late nudge down here.
That's probably the closest Kahibah have come, and that would have been a really, really well-worked team goal. And I think you summed it up, Chris. Ben Haren, seconds following, very frustrated that didn't get his side the first goal back in this competition.
Ryan Norton want to argue with the referee about where it is. Oh my goodness. Now he over-exaggerates how far back. The Kahibah crowd are getting into him. He's making no friends here, Ranger, is he? Not that he'll mind. He's happy to play the pantomime villain. He's done it plenty of times before. And after all that and whinging about where he could take it forward, he passes it backwards, the irony. Had a little bit of everything in the last couple of minutes, Harry. It's getting exciting. Here it goes, back to McNaughton playing wide. He'll look over the top for the Milky Bar kid who's streaking away down there in the southeastern corner. He crosses it wide, looking for Patterson. Well dealt with by Lane, just heads it wide, but Patterson is straight onto it. Lane is not giving him an inch, the American striker, but he somehow manages to nutmeg him and get it infield. Now he goes into the box, chips it back here, looking for Denellen, chips it over the crossbar. He'd beaten the keeper, but he beat the goals as well. That was well worked, just not quite the final inch perfect execution.
Yeah, Patterson again beating his man one-on-one and getting in behind there, and he's looked really good, especially as the game's gone on.
Langlois going to need to be cautious there. A little jersey tug right in front of the referee. McNaughton blocks it. Sheila Dull, despite giving away plenty of size, has no qualms about going full tilt into a physical collision with the experienced centre back. Lambton have just got to be a little cautious here that they don't get caught up in the emotion of this. You would think it would be the younger side that would be at risk, but they've shown a little bit of a propensity here.
Yeah, you're right. There's a bit of experience out there for the Jaffas tonight, especially in the midfield department of Bon and Langlois. And you're right, Chris. You'd think that the younger side would, certainly be the side that would feel it a little bit more. But
certainly feels like a pile of tinder that the littlest sparks could set off at the moment, the way the emotions are. And it's a momentous occasion, obviously, for Kahibah, and Lambton will be adamant they need to start this season much better than the very sluggish start they had to 2025. They did overcome that, but this is a team that one more loss would have meant they missed the finals and not went on that run. So they did it by the barest of margins last year to get to that grand final. It was a wonderful run, nonetheless. Don't take anything away from them, but David Tanchevsky will have stressed the importance of a good start to this season to this squad.
He would have drilled it into him, yeah. And like you mentioned, they found themselves really, really chasing ladder-wise last season.
They won't want to be in the same situation again this year. As Finn plays it into the legs of, it might have been Jackson Lane, prone on the ground again. It'll be a corner here. We talked about this earlier, Harry. The set-piece advantage, as you see them gather in this box, is quite clear. Drew Patterson towers over everyone. Interestingly, I thought that Kelly might have been the man to go to him, the tall left back, but he is sitting up at the front post with no one really there. Pat Bond's right up front. Lambton have got Finn and Patterson floating around, unmarked around the penalty spot. Finn drifts forward, Patterson drifts back. Sweeping around at the back is McNaughton. He's the man to watch. He heads it in, deflects it down and pushed across the byline. Did well there in the end. I think it was Daniel Byrne that got the last boot to it, and it was just a calm, composed prod over the byline to clear the danger for the time being. Let's see if they wise up this time. There's a lot of numbers floating at that back post for Lambton, and straight away we've got a man picking up McNaughton as he pushes forward. It's Van Haren. They come short this time. McNaughton's there again. A good vertical leap. He gets a little deflection on it, but it's away from the face of goal and goes for a goal kick.
That was two, I guess you could say, free headers that McNaughton found himself in there, and Kahibah will be pleased that they nothing eventually happened of that set piece, and I think they'll be quite happy heading into the sheds 1-0 down.
There's still some time to come. We've still got 3 minutes of time and then stoppage time, so anything could happen just yet. But yeah, Riley McNaughton obviously has made a name for himself as a centre-back that's got good vertical leap. He gives away a lot of height generally to strikers as a smaller centre-back, and he used that to apply his acceleration. We talked about it before. He's not the quickest man over 20 metres, but over a few metres he's rapid as he slides and jumps the gun a little early there. Played into the box, and Denellen's back there. Does well to clear it away to the edge of the 18-yard box. Threat not completely dealt with though. Byrne took a shot more in hope than in anger. Kahibah, they just look like they get a little rush when they get down there. The little rushes of blood. They're not quite sticking to the game plan or the strategy, as Merton's got it back at centre-back. He works forward, looking for Kelly, but finds Denellen in white instead. Now they play it wide. Finn's out there on the right edge. He's got plenty of space and he wants to take it on. Kelly comes in and goes hard at the ball. Finn somehow bounces back up with the football. That challenge, though, that will see the referee go to his pocket. Archie Finn needs to cool his jets here. Maybe we're seeing some personal... I was going to say we're going to see some personal growth, but no, he gets up and pushes his former teammate afterwards.
Commentator's curse right there, Chris.
Yes, well, in years gone by, Archie Finn wouldn't have got off the ground there. He would have kept the encounter on the turf with his opponent who challenged him. So there's the yellow card.
It's a good battle, that Krakenthorpe and Finn tonight. There's a lot of good matchups across the park, but yeah, Finn again using his body to full strength.
You know, I'm still not sure how he managed to get back to his feet and get into full stride straight away there with the ball at his feet, but I've been really impressed with Archie Finn. Moderate to large leaps in some areas of his game and his endeavour. Still some areas to work on. That's okay, though. We like that at the start of the season. You don't want to be peaking in February, do you?
No, exactly. He's picked the ball up in some good positions. We've seen him drift out right, as you saw on this occasion, through the middle or in behind, but just interested to see what Jaffas do from this set piece here. Just
over 60 seconds of time in the 45 remaining. We'll wait for the fourth official to indicate what our added time is. Got two men over the ball here. Oates running forward. Bond takes a strike. Bounces up friendly for Quinn. Came up true off the surface. I'll tell you what, the surface has played well tonight. You'd hope with a new surface that it would, but it doesn't always take perfectly on a new ground. But I've been impressed with the venue and everything Kahibah have done with setting it up here as Quinn comes out. Oh, dear. Plays it into his own teammate, and Griffith is going to race down there looking for the quick throw, is he? Danella says, no, slow things down. And the Milky Bar kid will take the throw. Opportunity here. Missed header from Patterson. He might have got the slightest of touches on it. I think Rook was trying to sell something there that the referee wasn't buying. As Dull plays it out wide. Boot in there from Langlois. A solid challenge. Wasn't legal, but it wasn't nearly as bad as the Kahibah bench made out. What do you got there? I think that's saying 2 minutes of added time. I'm not sure what the 88 was, but we'll go with 2 minutes of added time.
I think it might have been 2 zeros,
Okay, maybe 2-0. I was going to say, hopefully we're not playing 88 minutes of added time. We'll be here for a long time. As the ball trickles out, and look at that. I was going to say, look at those clean hands from Grant Sproul, but he's taken 5 goes to pick up the ball. Oh, there he goes. What about that pass? Sprowley, you've still got it. Danella with the throw. Directing traffic. Rook presents short. He goes over the top. Griffiths heads it on. Looking for Finn. Krakenthorpe does well. Gets the head to it. Comes out for Kelly now. He'll drive long. That's been their go-to. Waller comes centrally. It's the first time we've seen him emerge right into the spotlights, the bright lights of Fred Wright Oval. He's been drifting over on that left edge wide. Dull with a little mistouch. Finn dropping a long way back. Griffiths tried to be a little creative there. Didn't quite come off for him. Now the ball sits nicely for Joey Langlois.
Great composure. Slowed the play down there from Langlois.
There's absolutely no rush if you're the Jaffas. They're on top. They're turning the screws. Yes, it'd be wonderful to score another goal before half-time, but it'd be a lot more of an issue if they ship one on the break. Waller here now. Plays it out. Langlois dropping back into the defensive line. Now he takes it on. Griffiths, I feel a couple of his touches he's just trying to be overly ambitious with at times. Just maybe a little bit more of a simple execution. We know he's absolutely got the top shelf abilities of some of those touches, and when they come off, it'll be magnificent. But maybe the first half of round one isn't the time to be trying them all.
Yeah, and what's interesting with Griffiths as well is seeing him drift inside at times and allowing Archie Finn out to the right. I know that Griffiths can be a bit of a target in behind with his pace, and you see how they're setting up now. He's very different from the Jaffas.
Certainly is very different from the Jaffas, but that is half-time here in round one of the Northern New South Wales NPL. And I tell you what, we've had an absolutely enthralling 45 minutes of football. Kahibah have well and truly given their own, but the experience of the Jaffas is starting to show at times. They've absorbed some of that early energy from Kahibah, controlled the tempo, and they've taken their opportunities at times when they've presented. For the Rams, though, this is a step up in class, and we've seen a couple of little defensive lapses that they'll just want to work on. I'm sure Blair Newham will have a chat at half-time. The next 15 minutes could very much define their night as to how they get through this half-time break and how they start that second half. Harry, if you're Kahibah, where are those quick adjustments going to come from?
I think keeping the ball a bit more and getting their foothold on the game. Like, yes, they've hit on the break at times and looked dangerous, but I just wonder whether they'll look to calm things down a little bit more and target the likes of Archie Finn and Lockie Griffiths, who will be a threat in this second half. So it's been good from them, and they'll be happy with the scoreline.
They certainly will be. David Tanchevsky will want his team to put their foot on the throat and secure 3 points. We've got an enthralling 45 minutes to come still for the second half. It is definitely game on here at Fred Wright Oval. We're going to take a short break, but we'll be right back with you on the Northern New South Wales Football YouTube channel with the second half. Round one, Northern New South Wales NPL. Lambton Jaffas 1, Kahibah Rams 0.
Still plenty of hot food available. Lovely ladies at the canteen.
Oh yeah, that's the feeling. Progress. Momentum. Getting somewhere. That's what it feels like when you bank with Newcastle Permanent. With local experts and award-winning customer service. We're here for you, and we're here for good. Oh yeah, that's the feeling. Progress. Momentum. getting somewhere. That's what it feels like when you bank with Newcastle Permanent. With local experts and award-winning customer service. We're here for you, and we're here for good.
Welcome back to Fred Wright Oval here at the brand new Harold Knight Sports Complex at Gateshead, the new home of Kahibah FC in the NPL for season 2026. The Rams have certainly acquitted themselves pretty well, Harry Scobie, alongside myself, Chris McPherson. Harry, the Rams have done, as I said, quite well in their first half. Yeah. They're not on top at the moment, but they're still well in the contest.
Yeah, they've shown signs of glimpses in that first half that can tell me that if they put some more things in place come this second half, the Jaffas have to be wary, and looks like they may have headed to their bench a little bit, but
the big thing for the Rams is they just have to take their chances. You would expect they won't get as many of them as Lambton will, but they've had some good ones. One of them absolutely snuffed out by, I'm still not quite sure how he did it. I think he's got a third arm hiding in his back, Ben Kennedy. But, yeah, certainly really interesting. As you say, it looks like maybe some fresh legs coming in. We'll work on spotting if that's happened. No, it looks pretty solid there, Harry, I think. No, we're okay. Misconception by... eyes are failing, so that's not good as commentators in round one. Dear, oh dear. And here we go. Second half, the first game of the NPL season for 2026. It is Lambton Jaffas, the visitors, leading 1-0 against Kahibah FC. As Kahibah just pushed that. Ewan Kelly into the legs of a defender and gets the throw. The rain, you can barely even call it rain, Harry. It's the most slight of drizzle, just spitting here and there.
If it can stay like this, it'll certainly be nice for the rest of the night.
Well, big strong challenge from Waller there. There he goes. The way of Kahibah. Drew Patterson looks a little perplexed by that. Jackson Lane goes the long throw. Kept in by Waller and driven back by Lane. Denellen's back there. Cleared away by Oates. Brought down there by Utsaga. He was busy early. Was probably a little quieter in the second half of that first stanza. This is nice from Kelly. Crosses it dangerously into the box. Kennedy gets a fingertip on it. You felt it was almost a certain goal if Kennedy couldn't get a touch there.
Most certainly. Very, very needed tip there from Kennedy, showing his experience.
Patterson plays it back infield, but Doole's there. He's a live wire now. Pushes it deep, looking for Byrne. Shoulder to shoulder. I tell you what, she with Doole might have come from the Jets Academy, but that sort of screaming is not going to get you an Academy Award. It's going to get you a card if you go at the referee like that too often. Misstep here from Lane. Doesn't control it well. Patterson coming. Krakenthorpe gets around. Does well, the former Jaffa. Now the ball played in for Finn. All dealt with by Billy Ike.
Well, penalty or no penalty there. I think Kahibah have already shown signs of starting this second half off on the right foot.
Straight away losing. This ball goes out of play there, just out of the reach of Patterson. I think the one notable change that we've seen in the opening couple of minutes here of this second half is they're not just looking to go over the top, they're looking to play a couple of passes and create some space, which is looking a bit more dangerous. At least get the ball to the midfield and then if they need to go over.
Yeah.
That beats Waller. Van Haren with a nice little touch, and Norton peppers it into the Kahibah crowd here. He's really not looking to make friends today, Riley.
Round one starting to become the enemy here at the newly spread right oval.
Yes, we've got two balls on the field here. Throw from Lane. Met by Langlois, and then it's just pressed across the face. A rush of blood there for Kahibah FC. Kennedy with the goal kick. Goes long. Merton riding the back of Archie Finn there. Finn recovers, does well. Merton turns on the pace. There's shoulder to shoulder with Finn, and I was going to say it's pushed across the byline, but Quinn's out to it and picks it up just before it inches across there. Gets a boot through. He's a very, very slight for a goalkeeper, is Quinn, but I tell you what, he's got an absolute pile driver of a right boot. And all of a sudden now, Jaffas Van Haren gets the jump on them. Just curled it away from the advancing support and over the crossbar.
You touched on it on the first half, Chris, but Shewa Dull again looking to be more of an attacking midfielder, and there's certainly room in this game for Kahibah to exploit the Jaffas and pinch one. It's just about when the opportunity presents, if they can take it. Ball
pushed wide here. Waller does well to keep it in. His opposite number in Byrne plays it back to defence, and Kennedy can't quite control that. That'll be corner. And Kahibah's first opportunity at the set piece. Is this where Kahibah FC, the Rams, nab their first ever NPL goal, Harry? It's a perfect opportunity. It'll be Kelly to take it. The corner here.
Well, they're going to send tall timber of Merton and Kraken forward here. And
I think that's a very generous description of Merton to call him tall timber, but anyway. The taller timber of Kahibah. Everything's relative. I'm not sure what Shewa Dull's doing there. He's trying to manhandle Ben Kennedy. He's giving away about 2 feet and maybe just a couple of kilos. Falls here now, cleared for the Jaffas, pushing forward. Archie Finn heads it forward, looking for his own advantage up against his former teammate in Krakenthorpe. He gets the contest and plays it forward, and Quinn has to come outside of his box and drive it down towards halfway. Waller doesn't take it far, but brings it to the advantage of Bond. McNaughton drives it forward, looking for Patterson, who's now made his way centrally. And here they work it now. There's that man Kelly. The flowing red locks out on the left. Denellen back to McNaughton. Kahibah pressing here, putting the pressure on.
Yep, and that's something that they've shifted during the halftime break, is applying that more pressure to the Jaffas backline, who Jimmy Oates and McNaughton had too much time on the ball in that first half. And you're right, Chris, that's something they've shifted.
It is. Let's see the question, can they maintain that for the second 45 here? Or is it a flash in the pan? They've given away a foul here just on the attacking side of halfway. Joey Langlois over this ball, and he floats it out wide. Finds Denellen with a step of space. Kelly does well to recover there. Now they work it around. Wipsaga is dispossessed. They cross it into the box of the Jaffas. That's the challenge, isn't it? As you push yourself high in that press, trying to recover and get the defensive execution right. It might be a gamble here. If it pays off for Kahibah, great, but they could be caught napping on the other side as well.
Yeah, well, it's starting to open up now. Game's starting to become more end-to-end, and like you mentioned, it might be a game in this final 40-odd minutes that remain of chances and taking the chances.
Speaking of chances, a corner here for the Jaffas. It'll be the goal scorer, Pat Bond, over it. They'll come around and strike this with the right boot and try and curl it back from the face into his onward runners. Archie Finn at the back post. McNaughton shaping to the front. McNaughton gets a header on it, and he's managed to find the back of his head and find the ball just inside the left upright. And Riley McNaughton, he won out on the first 2 corners they had at the other end in the first half, and he wins out again here. Gets the header free and scores his first goal of 2026 to make it 2-0 Lambton.
Well, it's interesting because you thought Kahibah might have adapted, seeing McNaughton get his head on a few corners in the first half, and he found himself free there, and he still had a lot to do, Chris. It was sort of a looping header, wasn't it, after he made that run to the front stick? And, well, he's been the enemy at times tonight, but he grabs the goal and Jaffas extend their lead.
They certainly do, and it's taken him 50 minutes to equal his goal-scoring tally from all of last season, Riley McNaughton. So maybe, just maybe, at the ripe old age of 36, it might be Riley McNaughton's year to charge his way up those goal-scoring leaderboards, now that he doesn't have to contest with the towering centre-back partner that he had last year for those headers at the set piece. And as you said, he's popped up in 3 different spots at each of them, but every time that's exactly where the Jaffas have delivered the ball to. Whether that's by design or coincidence, either way, he's been right there when it's counted, and finally it pays dividends for him. And see some action on the Kahibah bench here, looking like some players warming up.
Well, you mentioned the importance of starting the second half really fast, and I thought Kahibah came out of the blocks quite quickly, so they'll be disappointed to concede that one, but like you said, it looks like they're going to freshen things up here.
Certainly are. So interestingly, one of the players I think has been most dangerous for them in Riley Van Haren will make way, and he'll be replaced by Riley Ferguson. So Ferguson certainly knows his way to goal. He was their leading scorer in the Northern League 1 last year, and on 4 occasions bagged doubles, and they could desperately do with a double here tonight.
Yeah, he's certainly got some height about him. Van Haren's put in a good shift. Starting debut for Kahibah, and Ferguson looking to add some fresh legs.
Certainly is. Patterson pushing forward. Opportunity for Bond. He gets to the outside. Almost came away with it on the second attempt too. But Lane clears it. Now they put it out in front of Ferguson. And you can straight away hear the crowd get behind him. They know his imposing figure, the red hair, the boots to match. He looks a very likely build of a striker, doesn't he?
Yeah, typical striker, and similar to what the Jaffas do. It looked like he might play a bit deeper at times. Willie, but certainly needing an impact here. Kahibah find himself 2-0 down. They'll be looking for a bit of spark, and could he be the man?
Well, maybe the foil alongside Shewa Dul there. That could be the piece. Once you go past the likes of Robbie Turnbull and Co in their 40s, Ferguson is the next oldest at 28 in this squad. So the experience and the impact is what they'll be looking for as Patterson pulls up here. Plays it back down the line to Waller. Now Langlois. Oates. Ferguson gives him no space. Homer's there. Looked like it might have been a foul. The referee is right on top of it, so I'll err on his side of caution. Homer dispossessed again. Langlois been solid tonight. Plays it out now for Patterson on the left. He gets a jump on Lane. What can he do here? Right in the corner. Cuts back inside him. Leaves Lane in his dust. Plays it into the box. A scramble at the goal mouth, and it's skewed away for a goal kick. They couldn't quite convert there. Well, it was Griffiths coming in, throwing his whole body at it in the end. I'm not quite sure whether he wanted to use his boot, his shin, his shoulder, what he was doing to control that into the goal. But
I think just any type of contact.
I think he was just hoping for the best and missed it all. Ferguson, Lane, just outside the reach of Ferguson, stepping back to Lane. She was Dole trying to catch them on the jump here. Missed clearance there by Oates, just showing his lack of experience at the centre-back position. That final touch not quite where he needed it. Waller goes back to him. I think it's fair to say he's going to be a work in progress this year. We've seen some good things from him, but some areas for improvement. Oates at the back. Patterson back for Waller. Plenty of football coming to you this weekend, Harry. We've got 4 days of football across the opening round of both the NPL men's and NPL women's. All of a sudden, Ferguson catches them napping at the back. A little heavy on the touch, though. Good recovery, Oates, and clears it away. That was heart in your mouth stuff if you're a Jaffas fan there. Kahibah nearly caught them napping. All of a sudden, they're on the counter. They push it across looking for Patterson, but Lane is there, intercepts, and sends it back towards halfway where it finds the head of Rook.
Yeah, with the Jaffas fullbacks going really high in Waller and Dunellen. Just let this play out.
Norton not quite onto it. Kennedy out, though. I think Ferguson just looked like he might have been a little reserved in chasing that. I thought there might have been a bit more of a break of pace, Harry.
Yeah, I thought he could have done a bit more to get on the end of that one, but he needs to be aware that mistakes are going to creep in for this Jaffas side in defence, and it's up to him to pounce on it like he's there.
Opportunity now, Patterson. Cleared away again by Lane. I feel like Lane's taking a bit of a step up in this second half. Langlois on the ball. Goes to Oates. Working around, cross it to the back post. A little heavy for Patterson. It was the right idea, just not quite the right execution. See what they're trying to do there, Harry. Taking them across to the right and then drifting Patterson with his prodigious height at the back post there on the left.
Yeah, he's going to be a threat throughout the majority of this NPL men's season. Really, really excited to see how he goes. He really likes getting one-on-one with his defender, and you can also find him back stick at times and getting on the end of those sort of crosses. But I've been really impressed with him tonight, and I think for Kahibah now, they really need to pull something out of the ordinary, find a goal and get the fans back into this one.
It's a nice touch. Ferguson, they couldn't capitalise. Shewa Dahl doing absolutely everything he can to try and trap that. He's not shirked any work nor lost any energy as we see another change coming here. It's Ferguson going off. I thought he was a little restricted when he went for that run before, and the substitute gets substituted, obviously carrying some sort of injury, and it'll be Riley Parker to come on for him. I hope that's nothing too serious, because that's not the way you want to start your NPL campaign. Forced off. I wonder if that is why last year's leading scorer started on the bench, maybe carrying a little bit of a knock. But that's a tough start to the year. They lost their captain in the warm-up. It was a strike taken. Parker almost immediately with the impact. My oh my, that's a way to make a statement.
Very, very good effort there from Parker. That's one way to introduce yourself, and agonisingly close there.
Was close. Tested Kennedy, but as I was saying, they lost Turnbull essentially in the warm-up and the lead-up. And they lost Ferguson. Two of their more experienced campaigners. It's not ideal. Hopefully nothing keeping them out for long term. But all of a sudden Lambton go on the counter here. Ball fed in. Mikey Griffiths decided to try and go himself. I felt maybe just trying to float it up for either of his teammates there. They go the throw here. I'm not sure what Isaac Quinn's doing out there. That doesn't seem like the percentage play that you want from your goalkeeper. Trying to get a quick throw going. The strike taken by Rook. He blazes it across the face. I'll keep it at 2-0.
You know what? If that was probably on his preferred foot there on the right, he had a chance of catching Isaac Quinn out there, because as you mentioned, Chris, seemed to, I think he wanted that throw in there down in the corner and almost got caught out.
You can understand at the other end players rushing for something like that, but deep in your own defensive territory, I don't think you're really catching too many people napping. I know a lot of players seem to think, as we probably did with an obstructed view here, that it might have been a goal kick, but I'll tell you what, if this opening 60 minutes or so is anything to suggest what we've got to come for the rest of the season, it's going to be a cracking year of NPL. As all of a sudden ball in behind, Quinn's going to have to come to the top of his box and use every inch of it to reel that in before the advancing Archie Finn. As I was saying, we've got a huge round ahead of us as well, with Rook just taken down by Krakenthorpe there, a little cynical. We've got Edgeworth and Broadmeadow tomorrow night, as we're going to see some changes here for the Jaffas by the look of it. So Finn will be replaced, and going to be Bailey Newton to come on for him. And the other one coming off will be Rook. He'll be replaced by Jordan Goo. So a little bit of explosive pace coming in to just seal this out for the Jaffas. But as I was saying, Edgeworth and Broadmeadow tomorrow night. Valentine Bell Swans, the Lake Mac battle on Saturday afternoon at 5 o'clock. Saturday night lights at Western at their new upgraded ground against Newcastle Olympic, two of the tipped improvers this season. And then Cooks Hill take on Maitland, the battle of the black and whites. As all of a sudden, my goodness, that is easy as you like from the resumption. And the goal was a Jimmy Oates sneaking around the back there, just tapping it in across the face, and caught us almost unawares, Harry, straight away from the resumption after the changes.
What I wonder if that one has come from the training ground, because everyone seemed to be on the same wavelength there. And I tell you what, it was a good cross, but Jimmy Oates had a lot to do on his preferred right foot there, and it's gone right into the top corner. And I tell you what, that'll frustrate Kahibah a lot, because even at 2-0, they were still in this one, and Lambton extend their lead further.
That is the nail in the coffin. You feel Blair Newham will be a little frustrated there. That was just a lapse. They didn't catch Oates floating out the back. As you say, there's something drawn up. If we get the opportunity, let's throw this out there. And sure enough, that's the way they go about it. Lobs forward, Krakenthorpe. Patterson advancing on him, but Krakenthorpe just toes it down towards halfway. Ball pushed out in front. Stuart Dull now tries to take the opposite man, and Jimmy Oates is having none of it. Then Dull tries to manhandle him and comes off second best there too. He lost on both counts.
I'm interested to see how Kahibah play out the rest of this game now. Does their mentality change 3-0 down? Do they still look to claw potentially a goal back, or are they going to drop in? This final 20 or 30 minutes will show us what team they're going to be this season. And they are a young side and missing a few key players, but there's still a lot of fight to be done in this match.
It's an opportunity to set a bit of a platform, set some tone for them for the season ahead. As this is brought down here, opportunity from range. We didn't get enough of that, and it's not on target again. Just pulling the trigger early, Griffiths. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see it and just wrap that round. preview as we were before. And Charlestown, Missouri and Adamstown closing us out as the other Sunday game. So Cooks Hill, Maitland, then Charlestown and Adamstown. There's going to be some different looking sides this year. Charlestown have added some players and they've had some depart. Adamstown, very consistent. They finished the season well last year. Cooks Hill with a new coach. I don't know if Sunday night we might see maybe the Jets women's coach, Stephen Hoyle, in action.
Yeah, you'd think so. Obviously, his girls take on Perth Glory on Saturday.
Saw one of the players down stretching with a bit of cramp. I'm not sure, is that Archie Finn? Opportunity here for Kahibah if they can get the quick break. Parker. Heavy touch there at the front. Doesn't work out for them. Now played forward. Shiwatdale goes to ground in the contest against Waller. They play forward. Patterson's got some space and he's going to take them on. He's got to turn a pace. Well, he looked to get to the outside. Little step over. Draws lane in. Touch to the outside. Plays it in and into the back of Krakenthorpe, and they'll get a corner. Now, I don't know about you, but I reckon the tip sheet right now, if you're talking in that huddle for Kahibah, is someone get hold of Riley McNaughton. Exactly
right. And you know what? We do focus on him and put a huge emphasis on him, but there are still some tall bodies in the mix for the Jaffas to aim at as well. You've got Drew Patterson. But yeah, I think attention here needs to turn to McNaughton.
It's a challenge. You go too heavy on McNaughton as he's at the back post, and he's being picked up there, and he's still calling for it anyway. He's tapping himself on the head. He wants a double. He wants to go again. He just shrugs off his man, pushing in there. Are they looking for McNaughton? They are. Falls to the back post and sprayed into the frame of the goal. He's confident. He's still backing himself to beat his man. As I talked about it earlier, Harry, he is, it's fair to say, not the quickest man over 20 plus metres, but over 2 to 5 metres, he is quite dangerous. It's that explosive start. He'll push off the body and get away from you really quickly and leave you grasping at straws. Oh, missed touch there by Denellen. Goes over the sideline. Kelly with the throw now. Almost at the midpoint of this second half. 3-0 Lambton leading. Goals so far to Bond, McNaughton and Oates for the men in white, as the Jaffas are tonight. We see a change coming. Matt Homer will make way. And Joe Cutfield will be coming on in jersey 37. Homer was busy in that first half. And also going to see Shiwatdale make way. And Lewis Hextall will come onto the field.
Yeah, Doles.
And Krakenthorpe making way as well. Looks like a triple change. They're going to bring everyone off. And Jaden Keanu, who's come on, will be the man to pick up the armband. That's all the changes for Kahibah rung now. One of the 5 forced by injury. It's Bailey Newton trying to sniff in behind Merton there. Bit of a collision there. Newton trying to argue the case, but I don't think he's going to win that one as Quinn comes up to take it. So traceable, that isn't it? It barely got above head height.
I was going to say again, just lacking that patience, Kahibah, rather than playing out from the back, which we've seen the Jaffas do. They're opting for that long ball, and fortunately for Isaac Quinn, none of his teammates have been able to get on the end of it, and that's where I feel like Kahibah have been hurt tonight. They're not patient enough with the ball, haven't slowed things down and get a foothold.
Certainly. Looks like Hextall's gone into that centre-back spot, a more from a traditional build of centre-back than Krakenthorpe. Patterson works this infield for Jordan Gu, who's delighted with. They sandwich him quickly. Oh, Norton having a running battle as all of a sudden there's Lockie Griffiths, pounces on the loose ball and make it 4 for the Jaffas. They're absolutely putting the Rams to the sword.
Another defensive area there from Kahibah, and Lockie Griffiths still had a lot of work to do, and he struck that one with some speed. And I'll tell you what, he's been busy tonight, Lockie Griffiths as well, and be happy to get his name on the score sheet. But Kahibah their own worst enemy at the minute, Chris.
They certainly are. They're starting to just have some moments that are starting to come apart. see more changes coming, this time for the Jaffas, and Griffiths comes off. It'll be Taylor that'll replace him. We've got Riley Taylor out there, and there might have been a secondary change there. We'll just try and work that out. Looks like Tom Parks is on as well.
Drew Patterson leaving the field.
Patterson is the man that came off, thank you, for Parks.
Impressed on his Jaffas debut.
It's dangerous. Didn't get on the score sheet as many have tonight so far, but they're certainly far from disgrace himself. They've rotated all of their front three now of Jaffas. Goo playing forward there, trying to put the press on. Pat Bond putting the pressure on here. That's a ball that's managed to hug the touchline, and Oates has put that over the expressway and into Windale, I think. Quick throw taken. They move on here, Kahibah, but it's pushed straight back over the sideline. Now Lane will come up and take the throw. Pressing numbers from the Jaffas. They drive it down the line here. Hextall gets the chest to it. Lane prods it infield. Mike can get a hold of it, but turns it over another lapse here. Taylor calling for it, and they pass it with pinpoint accuracy, but he's left it behind. He was too quick for the ball.
Very well done from Hextall up against Taylor there. Big unit.
Big physical presence. Keanu comes away with it, plays it infield. Now they get on the roll. They get the overlap here and the overload, and Ike plays it forward. Shua Dull, whose name I'm sure came up on one of those boards before. A number came up there. So he didn't go off in the end. They must have made a reshuffle with the changes, or maybe a mistaken identity from the fourth official. We head down, just over 18 minutes remaining now. Lambton on their procession to victory to start the season. I think it took something like 10 games for them to get to 7 goals last year, and they've already racked 4 here in the first, and you can be a brave man to write them off scoring anymore.
Well, that was the thing, wasn't it? They started the season last year really, really slow, and not only did they concede goals, but they were struggling to put them in the back of the net. And like you mentioned, a fast start for both of these sides tonight would have been crucial.
Here's another opportunity for the Jaffas, working around at the top of the box. Did that take a deflection? No, says the referee. We'll have a goal kick. Isaac Quinn will be starting to get a little bit of frustration with some of the defensive lapses. They get away with that one. Quinn just toying around with this, and now directs all of his team, to go to the left side as they shape. We'll chew up some time and let the clock tick down here. It'll be interesting to see how they respond to this Kahibah. Far from an ideal start to their season. The Jaffas goal spree has silenced the crowd here at Fred Wright Oval. They'll be back in action next Friday night. They'll take on Adamstown. And they head back here to take on Edgeworth before Newcastle Olympic. So some powerhouse names to take on. Doesn't get any easier on the next few weeks.
No, a really tough start to begin their life back in the NPL, but I think a reaction will be needed come next week, and maybe some team adjustments as well.
Still got it there, Harry getting a touch. Throw from Lane, ready to go. Goes long. Broken up there. They keep working. Numbers just converging for Jaffas on the ball when the threat emerges. Push wide here, a little overcooked by Merton. Now, Jaffas just looked to resettle. Denellen will have the throw. Tries to go over the top looking for Newton. Shot from range. Wasn't far away, but didn't get any reaction from Quinn. Which tells you it was never on target. Jaffas happy to take some chances now with a sizable lead as we tick down to the final 15 minutes of match 1 of season 2026. Quinn drives long as he's done all night. Oates with a head collision there. The two number 8s come head to head. Jimmy Oates and Jaden Keanu. It's not ideal. Hopefully nothing major. It's one of the risk factors and unintentional occurrences that happen in a wonderful game, Harry.
Looks like Keanu's come off worse for wear.
Oates is still giving himself a bit of a massage there. I think he might have been the way he was checking his hand. He might have thought there might have been a bit of blood early, and looking at the water that's going on the back of Keanu, there may be some. I think they'll both have a bit of a lump there tomorrow. They both came in, had a bit of collision, and there was a bit of whiplash effect coming back from Keanu as Oates went forward. Not much you can do there is one of the unavoidable consequences of football.
Good to see Keanu back on his feet now.
To go off now that he's had some treatment. With it being a head knock, will they be interesting to see what the decision is here. The man wearing the armband for the time being. Looks okay at this point. Norton just trying to educate the referee on the do's and don'ts of head knocks and blood rules, I think. I know he's been around a lot, but maybe leave that to the men in red. We've got another change happening for Lambton at the same time. Maybe see Oates go off. Jimmy Oates going off, which by process of elimination says it's Lawson Weeks coming on.
Teenager gets his debut. He's impressed a lot from what we've heard in pre-season. Played reserve grade as well before this, I believe, Chris. Hopefully Jimmy Oates is okay.
I suggest at this point when you're up 4-0 with just under 13 minutes, it's probably precautionary, and why not blood the youngster in an opportunity like this if he's done well in the pre-season. David Tenchevsky's never been one afraid if he thinks someone's ready, irrespective of the number on their birth certificate. As Waller comes down the left flank here with a little bit of time and space, cuts back in. Bond, little jersey grab, and the referee, rather than put the whistle to the mouth, just has a quick chat to Riley Parker. That's good refereeing at this point of the game. They don't need more stoppages. Denellen gets into a bit of a, I was going to call it an arm wrestle, but it was a full body wrestle over there. Clumsy challenges coming in, ball cross towards the back, looking for Riley Taylor, he heads it, Quinn gets a hand to it, and Hextall I think got the last touch there. It'll probably go down as an own goal, but he's probably hard done by to be the man that wears the burden of that in the end. Quinn did well to get a hand to it, but didn't clear it off the face of goal. So that'll be a debate for the officials as to whether it was a Riley Taylor goal or an own goal, but either way, it's 5-0 to Lambton with still 11 minutes and 40 seconds to play here.
Well, I think Tom Parks deserves a lot of credit there in the build-up for delivery. It was teasing, it was inviting Riley Taylor on the end of it, and like you mentioned, he did well to get the direction of the contact and finds its way into the back of the net.
Certainly does. A well-worked goal. 5-0 and plenty of chat still. Talking, wanting more from the Jaffas. Lots of people predicting that this is going to be such a tight-fought season for all those finals berths this year, and goal difference can be a big part of that. So when you have these opportunities at any point in the season, you've got to fully capitalise. Now Kahibah pushing forward. Riley Parker open wide, pulls it up, curls it towards the back post, and just a step short. Shuadal didn't pull up until he got to the fence trying to reel it in the end, but he just wasn't quite able to get there and capitalise. But that's one of the best structured attacking raids we've seen from Kahibah across almost 80 minutes of football tonight.
Most certainly. Ick finding himself in a bit of space, then releasing it out wide to Parker, whose cross was certainly inviting, but like you mentioned, they broke that line. Ick find himself in a bit of space, and that was one of their better attacks going forward.
Yeah, they work it now. The youngster in Lawson Weeks gives it to Tom Waller. Waller returns it again back to Weeks. Just 17 years of age. He'll turn 18 in April, Lawson Weeks. Plays across. He looks confident and composed on the ball, and why wouldn't you when your team's up 5-0 and you're playing alongside some of these names? As Quinn comes out and meets that on the bounce comfortably, plays it out through Merton. He goes wide on the right here. Not giving an inch, Lambton. Keeping the foot on the throat here. That will please David Tanchevsky. Many things that will please their coaches. Jaden Kian, who's back out looking like an extra from the mummy, returns with his head bandaged. Must have been a little bit of blood there, Harry, in the end. So they've cleaned him up and patched him up, and we're just glad he's all clear to be back out there.
Yeah, most certainly, and hopefully Jimmy Oates, who's left the field, is okay too, but see Keanu back on the field. I'm sure the experience Ben Kennedy would have enjoyed tonight up until thus far. He's not much work to do apart from that one blinder of a save he pulled off in the first half.
Well, that's it. If you've only got one involvement and it's a highlight reel one, that's a pretty good night, I think, as a goalkeeper. Especially when it's for your highlight reel, not the opposition, as Kahibah. I was going to say we might have spoken too early here, but that's a good, strong tackle at the back for the Jaffas. It'll be a Kahibah throw in deep in attacking territory as we head towards the final 8 or so minutes here at Fred Wright Oval. Lambton Jaffas, a clinical display. They were composed early and they've put their foot on the throat in the second half. For Kahibah, could they just find something, a little bit of consolation, a little bit of building blocks into round 2? Riley McNaughton says no, I'll be having no part of that. They clear it now. Across the sideline. Danger not completely dealt with. Goo throwing himself about like a pinball in midfield. And it's cleared across the sideline again, I think this time by Denellen. So, Jaffas is trying to maintain his clean sheet. One thing, we know they didn't score a lot last year, but they didn't concede a lot either, the Jaffas. They built their resurgence on defensive resilience. They'll be looking to start the season the same way. Kahibah, it'll be a different scenario for them. Only 10 goals conceded last year in Northern League 1. They've conceded half of that already tonight. It's a very different league, taking the step up to the top division.
Yeah, and I'm sure they would have been aware of that coming into the night, the dangers this competition can possess.
Opportunity here, Newton into the box. Little misstep, mistouch. Quinn does enough just to parry it into the path of Lane, and he clears away before another blemish can be added with salt to the wound. They play back now. Waller. Cross it towards the top of the box. Newton hits it. Goo to strike from distance. It soars over the crossbar. The youngster, first time of asking, takes the first touch and fires it towards goal. Just a little too heavy on the boot.
Yeah, and Goo will be keen to prove a point along with a few of the players that have come off the bench tonight to be fighting for a starting spot come next week, because there's certainly competition in this side, but good to see him get on the end of that, and just wanted to get that shot a little bit more lower and on target. But he's certainly a player that I think me and you both really rate, Jordan Goo.
Yeah, I was really impressed. He did a lot of heavy lifting when he was at Valentine early last year, and then once he stepped in and made that spot in midfield his own the back half of the year, he certainly didn't look out of place when it got on that run home towards the grand final for the Jaffas. As the ball goes forward here, Newton. Taylor's making an overlapping run. Exel just did enough. I think it was a toenail that he got on that. But it was just enough to take it out of the path of Riley Taylor. But you can see Jaffas ready to try and pour some more salt into the wounds as the assistant referee ruins what might have been an opportunity for Kahibah there as the offside flag comes up. And to AR's credit there, he was right on the money. The gun was jumped a little there by Daniel Byrne. Lambton just controlling the tempo. Kennedy with all his experience drives it long, finds Denellen there. Chips it forward looking for Newton. Merton has had some really solid moments tonight. Laid out in front. Little scrap there. Good trying to get to the ball, but Keanu takes it away from him. It's pushed wide. I think it might be a little too heavy for the runner, is it? No. Well trapped by Burton in the end. Just held up with a little bit of breeze blowing back onto from the right to left of the screen. A little jersey tug there. And then Burn throws the ball away. I'm not sure what that's going to achieve when you're down 5-0, but anyway, nonetheless. And straight away push forward again. McNaughton plays it wide. Parks back to Denellen. 1-2 working between those two. Tom Parks in his new colours. Most recently at Magic. Back to Kennedy, who drives it up over halfway lane. Skews it off the outside of the boot. And it pushes towards the boundary fencing, and he's gone down. Not sure if it's cramp or... Just stretching out there. A little bit of cramp. Time ticks down. This will creep into added time. He's back to his feet. I'm not quite sure that he's back to full health, but he waves off the help of the trainer. We keep moving. Waller with the throw.
Been a few Kahibah plays in the wars tonight.
Certainly has. A physical test it is. NPL.
I guess that comes with, like you said, adjusting to the NPL, and it's a learning curve for this side.
Certainly is. Waller under pressure from Keanu now. Goes back to Weeks, who's looked every bit the NPL player on his first appearance. I mean, he hasn't really been challenged or tested just yet. But composed touches and delivery, and here goes the ball down for Bailey Newton. Ranging long ball finds him out in front. Now Goose there. In close quarters. Nice ball from Newton. Finds Parks, who has his route to goal closed off. And then just a cynical foul that probably didn't need to be given in the end by Shiwadal. See a few Kahibah players just dropping to their haunches when the ball moves away from them. We talked about it before. Trying to carry yourself for 90 minutes at this level. A lot of Bell Swans players felt the test in the step up last year. But they came into their own towards the back end of the year. You felt Bell Swans. They started to really mix it with some teams. Again, the week-to-week consistency also a challenge as Waller plays this ball into the box. Well broken up. And there's Lane. He's come back from those cramps and drives it long to McNaughton. Into the final 2.5 minutes of regulation time. We'll see what the fourth official has to show us shortly. One thing is for sure, and that is overnight, Lambton Jaffas will sit top of the NPL to start season 2026. A great start. They lead 5-0. And they're looking to add to it as they push wide here to Waller. Waller hits it for Newton. Will he take a strike? No, he plays it across, then a strike on the next attempt, but I think it's fair to say that was a long, long way from target.
Yeah, Joey Langwell, I think he's just trying to join in on the action there, Chris, and get his name onto the score sheet on his weaker foot there. That probably wasn't the right option. But again, even at 5-0 up, I was said a few minutes ago I'd be interested to see how Kahibah react, and they've done quite well, but the Jaffas still playing some really nice football. Rolly McNaughton's been really impressive for mine. If you ask me to give a man the match, I think, as they say, Ranger would be certainly right up there.
He's certainly been impressive. I think you could make an argument for a number of players. Been a really solid team effort. And I think, to be fair, Kahibah putting this display against a lot of other teams, they're going to be, maybe 2 goals down, not 5 goals down. Lambton have taken a number of chances. They've been really good. They've obviously, you'd have to think, got a clear mantra this year after how they started last year, and David Tanchevsky wanted them to take the opportunity and capitalise on taking on the newly promoted team in round 1. As Waller sweeps this across to the other side, looking for an opportunity for Riley Taylor. And they've done that, to be fair. And Kahibah, I think, has been enough shoots to think that they won't be completely outclassed week in, week out. But it does show that step up in class. You could argue that the way the draw fell a little more challenging for Kahibah than their predecessors last year, Bell Swans, who took on an Adamstown side who were fresh off a relegation playoff the year before. But that's how the cookie crumbles sometimes, Harry. You get the home game, but you get to kick it off under lights.
Yeah, that's it.
Can't pick your opponent.
They were always in for a tough test tonight.
Goo now, he takes a strike from range. He's absolutely put the laces through that, and not quite on target again. We've ended up with some crowd members going down there. I'm not sure what's happened. I'm expecting the wildlife down there, I think.
Especially at this time of the night. But no, I was going to mention, despite the result, what a way to kick off the season in terms of the crowd in atmosphere here tonight. They packed the place out, the new complex here, and I'm sure there's going to be blockbuster clashes that will lighten up this place. But certainly a tough season to start things off.
Opportunity here for Goo. That's rough from Hextall. Taylor will pull it up. And may have played the advantage a little longer. Taylor's put it into the back of the net. Hextall will get a yellow card, and if my eyes don't deceive me, that is the first yellow card of the season.
Could be.
I don't think we've seen another one. So
I think that looking by David Tancheskin's reaction here on the bench, he is not happy that advantage was not played there, because it was a late decision. Riley Taylor was through on goal, and you can see some of the Jaffas players arguing the decision. But I think you could be right, Chris. First booking.
It's an interesting one. I think, to be fair, that last line of defence, I'm not sure whether it was Lane or who it was tracking back there. They pulled up once the referee's whistle. It's not to say Taylor wouldn't have beaten them and the goalkeeper anyway, but that's a lot of ifs and buts. And, you know, at the end of the day, we know where that gets us. So the referee's going to go and have a chat to his assistant referee. I'm not really sure what else they can do here. I don't think they can track back to it. The whistle had gone, and if they were to go, and I think they might just be talking about the card and whether or not the challenge was heinous enough to be upgraded from yellow to red.
Well, I was going to say, did it look late? Looks like he's in his pocket here.
They've waved off the yellow card, and Lewis Hextall, not only has he not got the first yellow card of the season, he does have the first red card of the season. And Hextall will be on his way. He will miss round 2 at a minimum, but it was a pretty agricultural and ordinary challenge, and I think the referee and assistant referee in their consultation have got that absolutely right. And Lewis Hextall will have the ignominious honour. Honour's probably not the right word, but will go down in history as Kahibah's first ever red card in NPL football.
It's history, but I don't think it's one that they'll look back on.
Not kindly, no.
Not kindly, no, certainly not. And it just rubs that extra bit of salt into the wound. That's been a really frustrating night to kick off things at home.
Well, that's it. Some injuries that are going to add to their challenges. Hopefully nothing too serious with Turnbull and Ferguson, but now, as I said, Hextall will be out for at least 1 week. Jackson Burston already out of action with suspension. I'm not sure what his return date is. I'd have to clarify that, but just adds pressure to a game. And as we said, a settled Adamstown side next week. Adamstown will see what they can conjure this week, but they'll relish the opportunity to take on an already depleted Kahibah side, which is just making it tough for the start of the season. And it may mean, you talked about some of those blockbusters that might be here at Fred Wright Oval later in the year. They might be relegation battles as opposed to, resurgences up towards competing for mid-table or higher honours that maybe some dared to dream of for Kahibah's first year in the NPL, but it's early days. Yeah,
no, you're right. It is early days, but I think there's a lot more football to be played, and I think next week will be another week to progress and develop as a squad. You wonder whether
we got there.
whether some lineup changes tonight were forced. Obviously, we mentioned that Riley Van Haren started the match up top, and the replacement in Riley Ferguson come on. But you mentioned, and I think I'm on the same page, that he might have been carrying a little niggle. So
he looked to pull up very quickly, didn't he? On probably the second run he had. Obviously, Turnbull being out as well. A great opportunity for Krakenthorpe, but what would the structure have been with the experience of Turnbull? Again, could have, would have, should have. This one's brought into the box, brought down by Lane. He's had a lot of work to do tonight, Jackson Lane, but has done quite a good job. I think he'll be a player that will really develop into a solid defensive player in the NPL this season as we watch him continue on. As a foul's given against Lambton Jaffas, but We did see, amongst all of that, the fourth official had given us 3 minutes of added time, but that could be absolutely anything now after those stoppages in stoppage time. I think both teams will be ready late on a Thursday night as the referee checks his watch to pull this up pretty soon at 5-0. I think a fitting result for both sides at this point, especially Kahibah now down to 10. As Tom Waller plays the ball back to Weeks and just working this around. Kahibah still trying to press though, trying to sniff for that maybe opportunity against the run of play and just snare a consolation goal. It'll certainly, I think, get some rapturous applause here. As you said, the crowd's been solid. Probably the fourth goal really took the air out of the crowd, and they've been a little quiet since then, but they've been positive. They were here from early doors with the reserve grade, plenty of juniors from the club. They formed a wonderful guard of honour, and despite the scoreline, and Lambton were victorious in reserve grade as well, I think Kahibah have to hold their head high. This has been a long time in the making, 100 years for the club, 101st season, and here they are in the NPL. So Langlois cross, I was going to say he crosses this, but that's somewhere between a cross, a shot, and not much in between. But that is full time. They were professional, they were composed, and they were clinical. The Lambton Jaffas have spoiled Kahibah's historic night and underlined why they were grand finalists last season, and they are amongst the favourites for 2026. They weathered the early emotion and efforts from Kahibah. They trusted their structure and they took their chances, that is for sure. For Kahibah, certainly some positives as we talked about, but they've now had a taste of the margin at this level, and at a 5-0 win with scorers aplenty for Lambton. We had goals for Bond, McNaughton, Oates and Griffith, and an own goal as well to make it 5-0. But Harry, certainly positives for Kahibah, but Jaffas will be buoyed by that heading into what is to come in this season.
Yeah, most certainly. I think a lot of the plaudits tonight is going to go to the Jaffas front line, but I think as a defensive unit, the back four are really strong. Danellen, Waller, Jimmy Oates, and then obviously Riley McNaughton, who got on the score sheet. So all round, they can't have much to complain about. And from here, I think it's a few selection headaches for Tencheski moving forward.
Certainly going to be interesting. Well, a big thank you to you for tuning in to our season opener for the Northern New South Wales NPL men's competition. Make sure to stay tuned to the Northern New South Wales Football YouTube channel for all your NPL men's and women's action, first and reserve grade, live and free all season. And of course, don't miss this week's match for the women's match of the round, live and free with the dulcet tones of Harry Scobie, who's alongside me tonight, and Renee Valentine on Friday night from Lylecar Oval as Charlestown clash with New Lambton. And we look forward to bringing you much more NPL action very, very soon. On behalf of Harry Scobie, myself, and all the team at Northern New South Wales Football, we are wishing you a very good night. There you go, mate. Stand up, mate. Thank you for calling me into your cable. Thank you, mate. What are you doing? So I don't know. Why did you take it off? What have you done?